Imagine a man sitting at a banquet table. The table is reinforced with steel because it is holding a weight that is almost impossible to comprehend. On this table, there is no food, there is no water. Instead, there are menus, millions of them. Beautiful, leather-bound menus describing the most exquisite meals imaginable. There are recipes for sourdough bread, guides on how to roast a chicken, and encyclopedias on the chemistry of flavor. The man reads them voraciously. He memorizes the ingredients. He critiques the font choice. He compares the nutritional value of a theoretical steak against a hypothetical salmon. And as he reads, he grows thinner. His skin becomes pale. His ribs begin to show through his shirt. He is starving to death. He is starving, surrounded by the description of food. He is dying of malnutrition while holding the knowledge of a feast in his hands. This man is you. We live in an age that worships information. We have convinced ourselves that the act of consuming data is the same thing as acquiring wisdom. But it is not. There is a profound difference between the map and the territory. There is a vast canyon between reading the recipe and baking the bread. Today, we are going to talk about the trap of information obesity. We are going to explore why your constant need to know more is actually making you less capable, less happy, and paradoxically, less intelligent. We are going to walk through the Library of Babel. Let's look at the diagnosis. Let's look at the texture of your daily life. You feel it, don't you? A low-level hum of anxiety that sits in the base of your skull. It comes from the backlog of podcasts you haven't listened to, the saved articles in your read later folder that you will never actually read, the 15 tabs open on your browser, each one a promise of a better life that you are currently ignoring. This manifests in 3 very specific, very painful ways. First, there is a tutorial trap. This is common among creators and entrepreneurs. You want to start a business or perhaps a YouTube channel. So, you watch a video on how to edit, then a video on lighting, then a video on the algorithm. Your brain releases dopamine with every video. This is a chemical trick. Biologically, your brain cannot distinguish between learning how to do something and actually doing it. When you watch the tutorial, you feel the satisfaction of competence. You feel productive, but you haven't built anything. You are just a spectator in the arena, critiquing the gladiators while your own sword rusts in the scabbard. Second, we see it in the outrage loop. You know exactly what is happening in a political scandal 4,000 miles away. You know the names of the politicians, the details of the corruption, and the socioeconomic implications. You feel righteous anger, you feel informed, but meanwhile, your own kitchen sink is full of dirty dishes. You haven't called your mother in 3 weeks. You are losing sleep over a war you cannot fight while neglecting the peace of your own home. This is information displacing agency. You are trading your ability to act in the micro for the illusion of understanding the macro. Third, and perhaps most subtle, is analysis paralysis. Think about the last time you tried to buy something simple. A coffee maker, a pair of running shoes. 20 years ago, you would have gone to the store, bought the one that looked sturdy, and gone home. Now, you read 400 reviews. You watch comparison videos. You worry that if you buy the model from 2022, you are missing out on the features of the 2023 model. You spend 4 hours researching a $50 purchase. The cognitive energy you spent making that decision cost you more than the coffee maker itself. You are exhausted before you even take the first sip. Why do we do this? We must look at biology. Your brain is an ancient piece of hardware. It evolved on the savannah. For your ancestors, information was scarce. It was rare. If you saw a pattern in the grass, it meant a predator. If you remembered where the water was, you survived. Information was directly tied to staying alive. So, your brain developed a hunger for it. We are information foraging machines. But now, we have hacked that system. We have built a world of infinite noise. We are feeding a hunter-gatherer brain with a fire hose of data. We are confusing noise with signals. We are confusing trivia with truth. To understand the solution, we must look to literature. We must look to the Argentine writer Jorge Luis Borges. In 1941, he wrote a short story called The Library of Babel. I want you to visualize this place. Close your eyes if you can. Imagine a universe that is nothing but a library. It is composed of an indefinite, perhaps infinite number of hexagonal galleries. In the center of each gallery is a vast ventilation shaft, bordered by a low railing. Looking down, you see a bottomless dark. Looking up, you see the eternal floors above. The lighting is insufficient, incessant, and artificial. The shelves contain all possible books. Since the alphabet is limited and the combinations of letters are infinite, the library contains everything. It contains a true history of your death. It contains a translation of every ancient text. It contains a solution to every disease. But here is a horror. For every one line of truth, there are millions of miles of gibberish. There are books that consist of the letter A repeated for 400 pages. There are books that look like perfect English but make no sense. There are books that tell the story of your life but lie about the ending. The librarians in the story go mad. They spend their lives running up and down the staircases, searching for the vindications, the books that explain the meaning of life. They die of exhaustion. They commit suicide by jumping over the railings into the infinite shaft. They die because they believe that the answer is somewhere out there in the next book on the next shelf. They believe that if they just read one more page, they will be saved. The Library of Babel is the internet, and you are the weary librarian. You are scrolling, searching for the one video, the one article, the one piece of advice that will finally make your life click into place. You are looking for the vindicator, but the library is a trap. The unrushed mind understands a hard truth. The answer is not in the library. The answer is in closing the book. This is the shift from maximizing to satisficing. Hustle culture tells you to maximize, to get the best, to know the most, to optimize every variable. The unrushed philosophy tells you that good enough is not mediocrity, it is sanity. It is the realization that a messy action is infinitely more valuable than a perfect theory. It is better to build a crooked wall today than to read about a perfect wall for 10 years. So, how do we escape the library? How do we put down the menu and eat the food? We must lay one brick. The action I want you to take today is an exercise in strategic ignorance. We are going to prune the tree. If a tree grows too many branches, it cannot support them. It produces only leaves and no fruit. To get fruit, the gardener must cut. Here's your task. I want you to identify one source of information in your life that makes you feel smart, but leads to zero action. Maybe it is a newsletter about the stock market, even though you just buy index funds. Maybe it is a YouTube channel that critiques movies you will never watch. Maybe it is a social media account that posts productivity hacks. I want you to unsubscribe. I want you to unfollow right now. As you do this, observe your body. You will feel a tightness in your chest. That is the fear of missing out. That is your hunter-gatherer brain screaming. But what if there is a predator in that bush? What if I need this information to survive? Acknowledge the fear. It is a biological phantom. It is not real. Click the button. Create a void. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. But you cannot hear the answers when the noise of the world is screaming at you. By choosing not to know something, you are reclaiming the energy to do something. You're stepping out of the library, blinking in the sunlight, and finally taking a breath of fresh air. The path to wisdom is not accumulation, it is subtraction. It is chipping away the marble to reveal the statue. You do not need another book. You do not need another podcast. You do not need this video. You already know enough to begin. The menu is not the meal. Close the book. Stay unrushed.